Our next guest is an NFL writer and NFL draft analyst for The Athletic, and the reason we're having Dane Brugler on is, I was browsing the internet the other day, and Kyle McCord's face is staring right back at me. Dane, thanks for hopping on today, and this is all new to us, having Syracuse quarterbacks catch the eyes of people that look at this from an NFL perspective. What's popped to you so far this season about Kyle?
He is playing hot right now, right? I mean, doing what he did last year at Ohio State, and I watched a lot of Ohio State last year because you're studying Marvin Harrison Jr. and all the guys they have on that offense going to the NFL. So I saw a lot of Kyle McCord, and he was a good player. I don't think there's any doubt about that. It's just, okay, Ohio State, they want someone with more of a playmaking potential with their feet, more of a runner who can give them something, especially when the offensive line, because that was Ohio State's problem last year with the offensive line, someone that gives them something a little bit more with their legs. Okay, so they decided to move on from Kyle McCord. Well, they told Kyle they're going to bring in some competition. Kyle decides to transfer. Don't blame him at all. Goes to, a team, a program that you feel like was kind of rebuilding with a new coach and some new faces, and he steps right on the campus, becomes the guy, and through 2 games, I mean, he's been one of the best quarterbacks in college football. There's no way around it. And so he's the only quarterback in college football with over 700 passing yards and at least 8 touchdowns. I mean, he's been lights out, and it's not just been the production, just the stats. It's been how he's doing it. It's a lot of in rhythm. It's a lot of anticipation throws because he has a good arm, not an A+ arm, but a B+ arm. He can make all the throws, but his decisiveness from the pocket is what really stands out more than anything, because when you're in rhythm and you're that decisive, good luck. And, I think we also have to give credit to his weapons because they are giving him windows to throw to, and he's delivering. So, yeah, through 2 games, it's like, okay, we were already taking Kyle McCord seriously as a prospect coming into the year because of what he did at Ohio State last year. Now we need to take him even more seriously because he's taken another step just with the confidence that he's playing with and how decisive he's been. So give him a lot of credit for the hot start that he's had.
When Syracuse was going through everything it did last offseason, moving to Fran, a crazy November where you basically didn't have a quarterback who could literally throw the ball forward, this whole thing is kind of, eye-opening. I think if you talk to Ohio State fans last year, it sounds like Kyle McCord kidnapped their kids or something, the way last season went. Like, you said you watched a ton of him last year. Like, how much of a stride are you seeing from the Ohio State McCord to this year, or is this like a reasonable version of the guy that was there last year? He just wasn't being C.J. Stroud or the guys he was following at Ohio State.
That's the key. That's obviously Ohio State fans have a certain threshold for what they expect following Justin Fields, following C.J. Stroud. And when you have Marvin Harrison Jr., one of the best receiving prospects we've seen the last, decade plus, and you also have Emeka Egbuka, and you've got so many guys, you expect to go out and beat Michigan. Well, they weren't able to do that. And so, but I think the Kyle McCord we're seeing now is very similar to the guy we saw last year, but I think he's playing just a little more confident. He's got a little bit of that screw you energy that is you love to see as a quarterback, because while you love the aggressiveness, he's also being smart with the football. He's not turning it over. I don't think he's ever going to be that running threat. It's just not in his tool bag to really threaten defenses as a mobile quarterback. But he has done a few things. There's that one play break before halftime against Georgia Tech where he was able to escape the rush and Georgia Gas. I think it was a drop, but he at least showed a little bit of life getting outside the pocket. But again, if you can, and NFL scouts look at quarterbacks, if you are in rhythm and have decisiveness from the pocket, if you are able to read out the field in your 3, 5, 7-step drops that quickly, you're going to play at the next level, because it's all about processing. It's all about how quickly can you eliminate what you're seeing, and a lot of that's done pre-snap. And that's where I think Kyle's, really separated himself. Ohio State doesn't beat Notre Dame last year without Kyle McCord and the way he showed up down the stretch. I mean, he did a lot of good things for that Buckeye team, and that's carried over better this year, and I think he's just playing with a little bit more confidence, which is great to see for him.
How much is the style of offense that Syracuse is showing you this year, which is a very, modern pro style thing? It's not a college ride and decide, width of the field kind of thing that's been going on recently. It's he's actually been under center more than none. He's taken a 5-step drop, planted his foot, and gotten it out of there. How much does that catch NFL scouts' eyes in this day and age where, I don't know what the right word is, Dane, maybe the projection is less because you can actually see a play that your team runs at the pro level?
Sure, yeah, and I think a lot of what he is doing, you do see on Sundays. Whether it's 10 personnel, 11 personnel, a lot of motion, getting your guys going before the snap, and when you see motion, that way between zone and man, but it's also telling you personnel and what are guys doing on the defensive side, and the quarterback has to process all that so quickly, and that's what I think NFL scouts are taking away from this more than anything, is just how quickly he's able to understand, okay, we have the numbers game over here, or, all right, there's going to be that void in the middle of the field because of the route combinations we have on this side and the safety, the way he's lurking. Like, he's able to process that very, very quickly, and that's been my biggest takeaway from the tape. And I know that, speaking with NFL scouts about what they look for in quarterbacks, that is going to speak to them at a high level. Now, obviously, you want to see him keep it up this entire season. You look at the Syracuse, schedule, and you've got Stanford coming up, Holy Cross, UNLV. They're very winnable games, so we should see Kyle McCord hopefully keep this up. And then once you get into October, November, that's where, okay, let's make sure when we're on the road against some of these tougher defenses in the ACC, are we still playing at this high level? It certainly seems like he has it in him to do it, but we just need to see it. But because, I know, just thinking about Syracuse quarterbacks in the past, Ryan Nassib's probably the last quarterback that Syracuse has had as a draft pick. The last quarterback in the first 3 rounds has been probably McNabb. So we're going back a ways here thinking about these players, but McCord's definitely on his way up.
Yeah, those are quite literally the last 2 Syracuse quarterbacks that have been drafted at all. Nassib was I believe he was a 4th rounder in 2013, and obviously McNabb, the top 3 pick back in '99. So yeah, it's been a minute around here since we've seen this, Dane, which is why we're trying to wrap our skulls around the whole thing. Take us into this from okay, say you're an NFL team. Here we are. We're just underway. Scouts out on the road. You're all over the place every weekend. You're doing your thing. How do they go about this quarterback evaluation process to look at a guy like McCord as they build up toward getting ready for the 2025 draft?
Well, I think above everything, it's about, okay, do you have solutions to the answer, or the answers to the problems? Do you have solutions that defenses, whatever they're going to throw at you? And through 2 games, he has. And so can he continue doing that? When you have to go on the road, when you face maybe a little bit better caliber of defense, when, because so far the offensive line has played well.
Yeah.
Can the offensive line hold up? Can the weapons around him hold up? So just from a Syracuse continuing to win perspective, that's going to be really important. And then from a scouting perspective, just playing with consistency, taking care of the football. He's been very decisive, kind of like I said, when he's within rhythm, but making sure that, okay, when a defense, because now there's 2 games of tape of this offense, and so defenses have a little bit more evidence about what the offense wants to do. And so, okay, the defense, moving forward, they're going to be throwing maybe some different things at you, whether it's different blitzes or different coverage looks. And so, how can Kyle McCord and this offense evolve throughout this season to again come up with the answers to the test? All these different problems that the defense is going to throw at them, continuing to evolve, because defenses are going to do some different things than Georgia Tech did, whether that's throwing more pressure at you or whatever it may be. But I think Syracuse has, and I've been really impressed with their weapons. Like I mentioned, Pena, number 2, this guy's got my attention.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is not the biggest guy, but he plays big, and because he looks really good in contested situations. He catches the ball very well away from his body. The body control is outstanding. He has route acceleration, so he can get corners on their heels and then break open. And the chemistry that McCord shows with Pena is really evident. I mean, McCord's making throws before Pena's even out of his break or looking for the ball, and the ball's right there. So that really speaks to NFL scouts when you're making those anticipatory throws with a guy you've been playing with for 2 games. And so that's huge. Everybody knows about, Gaston, obviously, the receiver / tight end who has an NFL future ahead of him. He's a real weapon for this offense. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun to watch this offense so far.
Trevor Pena's totally out of nowhere for us because he missed basically all last season, hurt, and really has not done anything other than special teams wise for the most part his whole career. Now he's got 5 touchdowns in 2 games, so a lot of credit going around on that. Quickly on Gadsden here, where does he fit at the NFL? It feels like a modern role he's got, right? He's 6'5", 240. He's sort of a tight end, with a wide receiver background. How does that fit into what the NFL does these days?
Yeah, we've seen that, just going back to last Thursday night, the Chiefs and the Ravens. You see a guy like Isaiah Likely, who not the biggest guy. He's probably right around 240 pounds, but he's willing to block. And that's at the tight end. That's really the big thing is, are you willing? You might not be the strongest, the biggest, the longest, but are you willing? And I think Gaston is. So, you can do different things with him as a hybrid move tight end where you're going to line him up in the slot. You're going to put him on the wing, put him in the backfield. He can handle some snaps in line, not a high volume of snaps in line, but he's not going to hurt you there. He can at least lose slowly as a blocker, and that's all you're looking for in today's NFL for that type of tight end weapon. So for a team that is looking for that specific type of hybrid tight end, not every team will be. Not every offense. Some offenses already have one. Some offenses prefer a different style. But for an offense that is looking for a hybrid guy who can get open, make plays down the field, also give you a little bit as a blocker. I mean, Gadsden's going to be a guy that's really well liked throughout the process. And this is a tight end class where I think it's kind of like last year, where Brock Bowers, clear tight end 1. This year, Colston Loveland from Michigan, clear tight end 1. And then there's a lot of different guys competing for tight end 2, tight end 3 in this draft class. And I think Gadsden's right there in that mix, competing for that spot.
Yeah, I mean, offensive production-wise, he'll have numbers out to almost everybody out there at that spot, and then obviously the other tight end stuff. All right, lastly, Dane, before I let you go, Dane Brugler, NFL draft analyst for The Athletic with us. I need to put on my Giants fan hat here and ask you this, just because I've moved on to scouting quarterbacks myself right now. I saw your colleague Jim Trotter was writing about Shadur Sanders today. Obviously, there's like a 9-ring circus. Like, how do you evaluate a guy like that who's got all the talent in the world, but, man, there's more than that?
Yeah, it's obviously going to be a complicated evaluation. There's just no way around it, and for a lot of different reasons. I mean, on the field, he's clearly talented, but a lot of times he doesn't even have time to make a play and make a throw. So I give him credit for always getting back up. He's a poised player out there. You see the athletic instincts that he plays with. Another guy that doesn't have top shelf velocity, but has a good enough arm, can make all the throws. I think he has a really good feel for touch and accuracy. The biggest thing with him is just he will, sometimes the offensive line is to blame. Other times it's on him. He holds the ball too long. A lot of big play hunting. He'll miss some open receivers underneath because he's looking for the big play. So just that offense with offensive line, that 5 guys up front that just they have not worked well together up to this point. So, Shadur's a cool customer, but can he do enough behind that leaky offensive line to prove to teams, hey, yeah, I am an NFL starter. I belong in the top 10 of the draft. It's going to be tough to do that. And the interview process is going to be huge for him. They're, obviously saying some comments about the offensive line and some of his past comments, like that's just not going to sit well with some teams. And so it's going to be a really complicated evaluation that one team feels one way, another team's going to feel completely different. So it's going to be interesting talking about it here for the next 8 months.
Yeah, it is going to be fascinating, and I imagine my Giants will be one of the teams that will be needing to have these conversations coming up this spring. All right, Dane, great fun here in September to be talking about that. There will be Syracuse guys that we need to watch in the draft. I'm sure we'll catch up with you again later, but thanks so much for hopping on today.
Anytime.